And good morning. This is probably our last installment on anxiety. This will be like the 10th part, I believe, on anxiety. But I think it's a real thing that we really battle with on a daily basis, and many of us struggle with it. The troubles of this world are real, are they not? They're not something that's made up or just in our minds. Real troubles really come. But as real as those troubles are, we really have a real God who has promised that He would aid us in this. We want to stay as focused on the heavenly promises as we possibly can and remain undisturbed by the earthly problems that seem to surround us. We're commanded, of course, in Colossians chapter 3 and verse 2 that we're to set our minds on the things which are above and not on earthly things. So that command means the temptation is going to be thinking about earthly things. So we need to be thinking about heavenly things. We worry, we grieve, we stumble sometimes, we strain under all the toils of daily labor. All of that is real. We even may feel the guilt of our fallen condition from time to time and realize what a worm we are, and we see that. Meanwhile, there's all sorts of adversaries out there that would love to see us fail as well. There may be family members that are antagonistic toward us. All of these things can really weigh on us, and yet we're commanded repeatedly to seek those things which are above and not to look on the things that are seen, but the things that are unseen, as Paul tells the Corinthian church in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 18. Don't do those things, because that's our temptation. The temptation for us is to focus on that thing that is right in front of us. I was trimming the shrubs the other day, and there was a wasp nest that was hidden inside that bush, and I hit that thing with the trimmers, and man, the wasps flew out of that thing. I couldn't see those wasps, the nest, but I knew they were real because they were flying around everywhere. But once I was able to peel back that bush and find right where that wasp nest was, I was able to deal with it accordingly. What happens to us sometimes is when we actually put our eyes on the thing that's our problem, it becomes huge and even more fearful to us. Many people have said, I just try not to think about it. But that's not the thing that God commanded us to do. He said, rather, think on these things. Philippians chapter 4, verse number 8. He gives this magnificent list of things to think on. He doesn't say try to deny the adversaries and the problems and the troubles that are out there. They're there. They're real. We know that. But our God is even more real, even though He is unseen. Don't ever allow the burdens of our life to divert your heart and your view from heaven. How can this be possible? Well, this is precisely why I argue that the church is so important. In Galatians chapter 6, we are told in the first couple of verses there that we are to bear one another's burdens. Our society, though, tells us not to worry about somebody else. You better take care of number one. Did you know taking care of number one leaves you in that horrible position of disobedience to the commands of God? If all you're concerned about is taking care of number one, you can't take care of your neighbor. Jesus even gives us a great example of the Good Samaritan who was willing to stop, to cross the street, and to do what he had to take care of someone who had a genuine need, even though society didn't look at that person as someone that was that important. Jesus said this is what we do. When somebody staggers, we need to help them with their load. If they're straining, we get under them, we bear the burden with them. If they stumble, we help them up. We need to help our fellow believers carry the weight of their worldly troubles. And that's one of the chief and most practical duties that can consume your mind and aid you in your daily struggles. I was told by somebody one time you need to get out of yourself and get into helping others. What great advice for somebody who's so inward focused that all we do is worry and fret about ourselves or something that's out of our control. Maybe we're worrying about a child or a grandchild or something. If it's out of your control and you can't do anything, you leave it into the hands of God. But what we can do is we can see those around us that have genuine needs, reach out and try to help them. I assure you, in being obedient to bear one another's burdens, it will help ease anxiety.